verse of the day is Proverbs 20:12, and it says, "Ears to hear and eyes to see, both are gifts from the Lord." So my first thought is a very obvious one, right? Being able to see and hear are just gifts in life. Some people don't have their hearing, some people don't have vision, and to have a healthy body in that sense is a massive gift for everyone. But if we're gonna spiritualize it and dissect it in a godly view, I would say that having ears to hear and eyes to see is something that you develop. Being able to hear God and see what God means are two different things, and I think they connect, but it takes hearing in order to see clearly, because I believe that when you start to learn how to hear God's voice, you start to pay more attention to his voice, you're going to see him more in your life. And not only see him more in your life, you're going to see what he means. You're going to see clearly because you're hearing more. And the more you hear his voice, the more you're going to understand what he's trying to communicate to you. And right before this, I was just meditating on the verse because I always like to be like, Lord, what do you want to say about this verse? And instantly, I just had a vision of someone giving someone a gift. Because today's verse says hearing and seeing are gifts, right? And they come from the Lord. So imagine someone's trying to give you a gift. Maybe it's your birthday. The only way you're able to receive that gift if it's given to you, right? And most often you have to be with that person in order to receive a gift. You have to unwrap the gift, right? You have to do certain things in order to get to the gift itself, in order to enjoy the gift. And the visual God was giving me was in order to cultivate the gifting of hearing him more and seeing him more in your everyday life, you have to get to know the one who's gifting you, who has gifted you those things. And when you gift people, maybe it's a friend, or maybe it's Christmas, or maybe it's just to be generous, most often it's people that you love and care about, right? Of course, it's good to be generous to people that you're not so close with, but we love to gift and to give and to nurture those people in our life that we love. And God does the same with us. He loves to give us gifts, and we were born with a ton of gifts, and something that is a gift in itself is relationship with God. And in order to develop relationship with God, we have to be able to hear him. We have to be able to see things clearly. There's so many things in my life where I thought I stood confidently in a belief about God, but really my vision was blurry. Really, I wasn't seeing clearly. And the beautiful thing about God is he corrects our vision. He helps us see clearly. He helps us hear clearly. He helps us fine-tune our ability to hear him more every single day. And that only happens when you develop relationship. The verse that sticks out to me is Matthew 6:22, and it says, "Your eye is like a lamp that provides light for your body. When your eye is healthy, your whole body is filled with light. But when your eye is unhealthy, your whole body is filled with darkness." I believe this connects to today's verse because what you look at and what you listen to affects your ability to hear and see God moving in your life. So it's important to create healthy boundaries and to cultivate habits that help you see God in your life, that help you hear God in your life, because the more you're focusing on hearing him, the more you're going to hear him. The more you keep your eyes on him, the more you're going to see him. And the more you do both of those things together, the more you're going to flow effortlessly in purpose, flow effortlessly in walking with God and following the life that he created you to have. I would argue that I think it takes Matthew 6:22 in order to really elevate in the verse for today, to really embrace the gift of hearing and the gift of seeing. It takes certain boundaries to learn how to find God in your everyday life. I remember there was one day where when I work out, I vary between certain music and then all Christian music. There's some times where I'll do all worship music, and there's some days where I won't. And I remember it was one morning where I was listening to all worship music. The whole time I was just like fired up. I had so many little notes to write on my phone while I was working out. And I just felt like God was talking to me the entire workout. And after I was done, I was like, wow, that was really incredible. And God reminded me, he said, It's not that I'm not speaking, it's that you're not paying attention. So God is speaking like that 24/7. But if our focus isn't on Him, isn't on love, isn't on His truth, then we're going to be distracted. Then it's going to be harder for us to hear clearly. And if it's harder for us to hear clearly, it's going to be harder for us to see clearly, to interpret clearly what it is God is trying to communicate to you. So sometimes I think when it comes to developing a relationship with God and maturing in your walk, it takes cutting out certain things to help streamline your connection, to help strengthen your ability to find God throughout your entire day. And the more you learn that discipline, the more you're going to see Him everywhere. The more you're going to just be like, wow, okay, this is so crazy, God. You won't stop talking to me, and you'll find beauty in Him in all that you do. Another thing, when it comes to hearing God's voice and seeing Him, it really has to do with you being present. It really has to do with you cultivating that quiet time with Him every day, because it's in that quiet time that you're teaching yourself how to be present with Him. And the more you're able to rest in His presence, the more you're going to pay attention when He's speaking, because He speaks in the present moment. If our mind is too focused on the future or the past, we're being taken out of the present moment, which means we're going to be distracted by what God is saying right now. So if you want to cultivate your ability to hear Him and to see what He's trying to say, learn how to cultivate rest in quiet time with Him every single day. And if you show up every day trying to teach yourself how to cultivate rest in His presence, you're going to start to hear more clearly. You're going to start to see more clearly. And it's in that discipline of you spending time with Him every day that you're going to learn how to have better boundaries, that you're going to learn how to not focus on things that take you away from God, and you're going to get better at knowing what those things are, because God will reveal it. He'll reveal what things are drawing you away from Him, what things are distracting you from Him, and you'll get a knowing. It's discernment, it's conviction within your spirit that God uses to communicate to you how He wants you to correct, to trial and error, to create better boundaries. It's like wearing training wheels when you're riding a bike. He needs us to sometimes have that boundary to help us feel capable to ride forward, to move forward, right? And it's with those boundaries, aka training wheels, that trust builds, not only in God, but in ourselves. And then eventually you can take the training wheels off. It doesn't say you can do anything, but it means that you're stronger in your walk, so you're not going to be as tempted to do certain things, and your desires will actually probably change, so you won't want to do the same things that you were doing before. Today's verse just highlights that God is speaking all the time. He wants you to see clearly. So ask Him to widen your capacity to hear Him, widen your capacity to see Him, because they're gifts that God can develop in you, and He wants you to hear Him. He wants you to get it and to catch what He's trying to say. Okay?